Hello, you beautiful people. Aaron here, back with another video. It's banner day once again, this time with the long-awaited HYDRO Archon. And then there's Baizhu and everything else. I'm pretty sure that makes my opinions on this banner set pretty clear, but in case I didn't, let's get to discussing. As per usual, I will be talking about the 5 stars of each banner first, and then onto the 4 stars, and I will be going from character banner to weapon banner. Let's start off with the long-awaited HYDRO Archon. Furina is the best HYDRO character in the game, but only when enabled. Furina has a lot going for her. She has decent HYDRO application, passive damage that's not reliant on using an elemental burst or normal attacking, massive team-wide damage percent buffs, the ability to make healing massively better than shielding, the ability to enable every main DPS to use the overpowered Marie Hunter set, she has healing herself, she has a lot. She's a smorgasbord of power, and at the very least, she will change how your team plays and what you can accomplish in the game. I see that as her main draw because, well, let's admit it, the game can get very boring if you stick to the same characters. It's super draining to play the same comps over and over again, and pulling for her will change that. She opens up team diversity, which is very nice. Her only limits are her weaker HYDRO application, which only really matters in Vaporize and Hyperbloom focused team comps, and her reliance on a healer for almost any sort of relevance before she has her 6th Constellation. Thankfully, her partner on this banner set is Baizhu, who is an incredibly powerful healer. This man is also a smorgasbord of usefulness. However, everything he offers other than healing is tuned down so much, and it makes him just an okay unit across the board. However, when paired with Furina, he is probably one of the most useful supports out there for most teams. He's incredible in Vape comps, he's great in Hyperbloom and Quick Bloom, and he's pretty great in Fridge teams too. His main issue is that he can usually not be used as a solo Dendro unit in most compositions. All around, he is a pretty strong unit, but he's not the type to replace anyone else in the party. In terms of constellations, these two both benefit much more from their first 2 over any others. Furina offers some more damage percent buffs up front to her team through her first, and she makes gaining her damage percent buffs consistently larger in her second. These 2 constellations are insane, and will lead to her being the best HYDRO character uncontested. Baizhu's are worse, but still very beneficial. His first grants him an extra skill cast, which will allow him to sustain his team better. But the most important part is it helps solve his massive energy issue. His C2 is significantly better though, as it will almost double his Dendro application while also sustaining his entire team passively. This used to not be super useful, but now it is, as it allows him to constantly keep his team topped off, even through Furina's team-wide health reduction. Now let's move on to the 4 stars, starting with the best, that being Beidou. Beidou is a great character who deals a tremendous amount of damage in AoE content. On top of her fantastic damage output, she applies a crap ton of Electro, and she even offers damage reduction to her on-field party member. She is fantastic, and because of her elemental burst that bounces between enemies, she can prove to be one of the best units you have on your account. However, she does have 2 massive issues. Beidou is notorious for generating little energy and having an insane burst cost. This means that she is practically tied at the hip to Fischl, who can help Beidou get her burst back up quicker. She also has the issue that her damage falls off of a cliff when against a single target, as she will deal only 20% of the damage she normally would in those situations. These 2 issues turn a lot of people off from playing her, especially since Dendro's release, which brought Kuki Shinobu into relevance. Kuki also doesn't ever fall off, while still outputting crazy damage and while healing her team. These factors are the major reasons as to why she's not played as much anymore, despite her still being pretty good. Next up is Charlotte, who is another new character to the scene. I did make a pre-release analysis on her, and I think I was probably too positive on her, especially since they decided to nerf her afterward. Charlotte is meant to be paired with Furina, as she has a massive amount of healing for her team to make use of. However, Mika also exists, who does her job but better, as he generates more energy, he won't interfere with some reactions, and he offers an attack speed buff. Charlotte is still an option, and she even comes with the benefit of cryo application. However, not a lot of teams would benefit from this over an extra 20% attack speed boost, except for double HYDRO freeze teams and fridge comps, plus their variants. And last up to bat is Collei, who lives and dies by her ability to wield Elegy for the end. Collei is in a hard spot at the moment because she offers everything other Dendro units offer, minus good forms of offensive or defensive utility. The only comp that she's great in is with Nilo in her signature Bloom teams. However, there are so many different variants of these Bloom teams out there that all work about just as well, it's not too worth building into Collei over any other Dendro unit. While that may be it for the character banner, sadly, the weapon banner continues this negative trend. The Splendor of Tranquil Waters is a horrid weapon. I go more into it in my new 4.2 weapon video, so I won't go too in depth here. But if you want to hear all of my thoughts on this weapon, there should be a card in the top right heading to that video, which should be released alongside this one. However, I will say that no one except Furina wants this, and even then, Furina's teams will benefit much more from the Key of Kashnasut than this garbage stat stick that can't even surpass the Harbinger of Dawn in terms of usability for a majority of characters that could theoretically use it. Up next, we have the Jadefall Splendor, which is one of the worst best weapons in the game. The only characters that want to use this option as one of their best are Baizhu and Neuvillette, as they both scale hard with HP, they both would benefit from the energy generation, and they both make use of the percent damage bonus. However, both can also use the free-to-play prototype Amber, which offers a good amount of HP, slightly less energy for Baizhu but significantly more energy for Neuvillette, and it offers more healing, which is fantastic when these two are paired with Furina. While this weapon will allow for more personal damage, the increased healing from prototype Amber when paired with Furina will narrow the margin in damage output between these two weapons. On top of this, prototype acts as a defensive option, meaning you can use this on Neuvillette in place of a defensive support, leading to more team damage output. This weapon is just lackluster in all circumstances and cannot surpass most others in the game other than some 3 stars. Since the 5 stars are garbo, and because most of the value of these banners come from the 5 stars available, I will make this 4-star section incredibly short. Most of these weapons are just okay. The stringless is the best 4-star bow for those characters that want to use skill and burst damage like Fischl, Venti, and even Tartaglia. Dragon's Bane is overpowered for those that want a lot of elemental mastery on their Polearm characters, those of which being Hu Tao, Shengling, and the Ryan Shogun, just to name a few. Sacrificial Fragments is good for those that want a crap ton of elemental mastery and energy generation, which works well for Sucrose as her best in slot, Kokomi in Nilo teams, and Nahida. Sacrificial Sword is overhyped and is only really great on Chi-Chi, but pales in comparison to Vivonius for everyone else. And the bell is a meme, so should you pull on this banner? That's up to you, but I can only recommend ever pulling for C0 Furina, as she's the best thing on the banner set. She will instantly become one of the better units in the game at worst, while everything else is average at best. I can't even recommend pulling for her Constellations because while you might be left with an incredibly powerful unit, you will have nothing else of much value. But what do you all think of this banner set? Do you think I was a bit too harsh? Or do you have an even harsher opinion on this banner set? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. But with that, I will wish you all adieu. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!